Well, hey there, guys. Greetings and salutations. Welcome to the John Campea Podcast here on my YouTube channel. Of course, I am your host, John Campea, and it's early. I'm starting early today. I don't know if you can tell by the light in the room, but the sun's not even up yet. The reason I'm doing the show so early today is because I've actually got a screening of Kingsman: The Golden Circle at 10 o'clock this morning, and that means I got to leave just to be safe around 8 a.m., just to make sure I'm there about a half hour early. And, you know, traffic in Los Angeles is absolutely nutty, but I'm very stoked about it. Look for my review. I don't think there's a review embargo. I might be wrong about that. If there is no review embargo, and I'll find that out when I get to the theater, then you can look for my review of Kingsman: The Golden Circle a little bit later today. Another review of mine that you can look forward to a little bit later today is Wind River. Now, I know I'm late to the party. I'm very late to the party, as a matter of fact. This thing was in limited release like a month ago, and now it's kind of been crawling into more and more theaters. But I decided last night to go see it and take my brand new Movie Pass card, as I cover up my actual card number, and take my new Movie Pass card for a spin and see how well it worked. Now, for a lot of you guys know, I've been talking some crap about Movie Pass lately. The reason I've been talking crap about Movie Pass lately is because they completely botched their launch. Like, ever since they announced, hey, we're doing this big relaunch of the product, this rebranding of the product, if you will, we're going to $10 a month. You should have known you were going to get a huge influx of people, and you should have been prepared. And if you weren't going to be prepared, you should have let people know in advance, hey, if you order the card, that's great. But I know it says on our website you're going to get it in a week. You won't get it in a week. And it took me 25 days, despite the fact that when I ordered it, it said you're going to get it in a week. And I thought, if you can't even handle your launch, I don't know that you're going to be able to stay in business. I mean, if you don't even know how to run your business to the point that you even know how to handle your launch, then I've got my doubts. But I finally got my card. Last night I had a chance, took it over to the AMC Burbank 16, and I took the old Movie Pass card for a spin, and you know what? Worked great. Worked better than great. Now, for those of you who don't know how this thing works, it's real simple. You show up at the theater. You have to be within 100 yards of the theater. You open the Movie Pass app on your phone. You check in at the movie theater, and then you select the showtime, which movie you want and which showtime. As soon as you select your showtime in your movie, Movie Pass automatically knows what the exact price of a movie ticket will be, and they preload your MasterCard Movie Pass card with that exact amount of money. Then you go up to the terminal, you go up to the kiosk, buy your ticket as normal, and when it says purchase your ticket, instead of putting in your debit card, you put in your Movie Pass card, and AMC, the movie theater, gets paid their full ticket price, and you get your movie ticket. But here's the best part about it for me. I'm an AMC Stubs member. That's their loyalty reward program. So, you know, every dollar you spend, you get a certain amount of points. And once you get a certain amount of points, you get like $5 credit or $10 credit. But I showed up, I used my Movie Pass card to buy my ticket. But since the terminal just sees AMC getting paid $15 for the ticket, I also got to get the credit on my AMC Stubs, which gave me enough credit to go in and get a free large drink. So I got my movie for free and I got my large drink for free. So it was a real great thing for me. Now, this makes this card such a good deal. At least on the surface, it's such a good deal. Because this card costs right now $10 a month. You get as many movies as you can, at least one movie a day. The ticket price at my local AMC Burbank 16 movie theater is $15.36. So just by going to one movie, this card has already more than paid for itself. So with all the crap I've been talking about Movie Pass, let's give credit where credit's due. The service is really great because so far I've paid $10 and I got a $15 movie ticket and a $5 drink. So, and if I go to see another movie tomorrow, like after I see Kingsman, if I decide later in the day, I want to go over to AMC, let's say I want to see Girls Trip again, or I want to see Spiderman Homecoming again, or whatever, then it's even more value. So I got to admit, it's working out pretty so far. I'll keep you guys updated with how well it works for me as I use it more and more and more. Anyway, for the rest of today's show, what I really want to talk about here is I want to talk about a couple of items in the world of movie news that have caught my interest and caught my attention, or some other things as well. And then we're going to go to your questions and topics that you guys send in to me. How do you get a topic or a question into me? It's simple. You simply email me anytime at the John Campea Podcast at gmail.com. Email me anytime at the John Campea Podcast at gmail.com. This is very important. Keep your email to 90 words or less. Anything longer than that, and I can't use it because I can't even fit it on the screen at that point. So remember, I can't get every question on the show, but send on in your topic or question. Maybe you'll see it pop up on the show. All right, with all that out of the way, let's get to the first topic today. And the first topic today is a pretty interesting one. We all know that Wonder Woman 2 is coming, supposedly opening on December 13th, 2019, but I doubt that's going to happen now that Star Wars Episode 9 has moved to December of 2019. But as of right now, Wonder Woman 2 is scheduled for December of 2019, which is great. However, a little bit of news came out today that not only the other day they announced that Patty Jenkins was now officially, big surprise, we knew this was going to happen, but Patty Jenkins is back to direct Wonder Woman 2, which is the right move, absolutely. They also brought on a brand new writer. They brought on somebody to write with Patty Jenkins and Geoff Johns. His name is Dave Callaham. Now, if his name sounds familiar, that's because he was a writer on Expendables. He was the story credit writer, at least at any rate. He didn't do the screenplay, but the story credit writer on Godzilla. And he's also did the draft for the upcoming Universal Dark Universe film, The Wolfman. Now, I admit, I don't know how I feel about this. Like everybody else, I really enjoyed Wonder Woman. Thrilled Patty Jenkins is coming back. The guy who did Expendables, and granted it wasn't the screenplay, it was only story credit for Godzilla, but still, he's got his name on Godzilla. And I didn't hate Godzilla, but it should have been much better. Come on. And I don't know how the Wolfman's going to be, so I'm a little nervous about him being on there, but I mean, he's just one of the co-writers. Patty Jenkins is still there writing. Geoff Johns is still there, probably doing the story, not so much the screenplay, I'm assuming at this point. So it's probably going to be Callaham writing the script with Patty Jenkins. And then Patty Jenkins and Geoff Johns probably came up with the outline, probably came out with the story outline for the beats of the movie. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Right now, I kind of feel indifferent about it. I'm not terribly worried about it because Patty Jenkins is still there. I'm not terribly thrilled about it because I haven't been a huge fan of the films that he's got as credit list so far. But who knows? Let's just take a look and see how it goes. Right now, I'm going to say I'm neutral. I'm neutral on the news about that. Do you have any kind of thoughts on Callaham as a writer? Jump into the comments section. Let me know. Does it make you worried? Does it make you excited? I don't know. How are you responding to this news? All right, let's move on to the next thing. The other day, I started watching, because I was late to the party. I've never watched it before. I started watching the Netflix series Narcos. And let me tell you, I am now a massive fan of the show. I binge watched the first 2 seasons in 5 days. I mean, when I should have been sleeping, you know, it's like midnight, it's like, oh, I can't watch anymore. And then you see the end of the episode, it's like, oh, okay, I got to watch this one more. And then I got to watch, before you know it, it's like 3:30 in the morning. The same thing happens the next night. So when I should have been sleeping, which is probably one of the reasons I've been looking so tired lately, it's because I've been watching Narcos. I just got into season 3. I think I'm on episode 3 or 4 now of season 3, which just got released. And I got to tell you, I am super stoked about this show. Now, it's kind of funny. First of all, I'm kicking myself that I wasn't on this show before. It's really weird. And let me just bring up some information here. There we go. So I'm kicking myself that I haven't been on with the show, but I don't have time. I watch so many movies that I don't have tons of time to go to a lot of TV shows. But it was really funny for me because whereas most people had already been watching Narcos when Logan came out and they see Boyd Holbrook there and they're like, oh, it's the guy from Narcos. I just saw, Boyd Holbrook as Boyd Holbrook. And now that I'm watching Narcos, I'm like, hey, it's the dude from Logan. So I'm kind of looking at the reverse way. Plus, I got to say, I've always referred to and thought of Pedro Pascal as the guy from Game of Thrones. He was in the Game of Thrones. But now, I'm telling you, now when I think of Pedro Pascal, I'm thinking him as the dude from Narcos. That's what I think of him as now. This show is incredible. It's got rich characters. They take a lot of time to give depth to each one of the characters. They have a great storyline. They do a really good job of walking that thin line between making it true to the true events and doing a little bit of dramatization for the sake of making a better show, which is exactly what they should be. This is a TV show, not a documentary. It's okay. I expect them to take liberties and to do things for dramatic effect. That's what you should do with a movie like, or with a TV show like this. So I'm glad that they're doing that. But it's exciting. It's heart-pounding. It's got political intrigue. It's got everything. It's got sex and violence and politics and good guys who are really good at their hearts, but also flawed heroes at the same time. I'm really digging it. The one thing I haven't liked so far, for those of you who are watching Narcos, and if you're not, I highly recommend it. I've just fallen in love with this show. But the one thing that's put me off a little bit is that as we rolled into season 3, all of a sudden, the character Murphy, played by Boyd Holbrook, he's just disappeared. Like, just disappeared. And the show starts back up in season 3, and he's just not there. I mean, he's just not there. There's been the odd passing reference to Murphy, but nothing about where did Murphy go? Well, did he go back to the States? Is he operating in another country? Is he like, there's been no reference to what happened to Murphy. Just the odd time. It's like, oh, remember when you and Murphy were partners? It's like, yeah, I remember that. That was just last season. So where the hell is he? That's the only big question mark I have. So I don't know if they're setting up for some big flashback scene that will be some kind of big reveal to what happened to Murphy at some point. But right now, I'm just feeling a little bit frustrated as an audience member that they're not making a mention of Murphy. But other than that, I'm loving it. Even though the first 2 seasons are totally Pablo Escobar centric, and now Pablo Escobar's not in the show in season 3 because, if you know the true events of Pablo Escobar, he can't be around for that long. And I thought the show might lose me without Pablo, but it's totally kept me on board and I'm really loving it. So have you guys been watching Narcos? If you have, what do you think about the show? What are some things am I missing something about the Murphy character? If so, let me know in the comment section below. And if you haven't been watching Narcos, I really kind of recommend that you give it a shot because I think it's going to become your new TV obsession because I know it's kind of become one of mine. All right, move on to the next topic here. And yesterday, a brand new trailer for the Jackie Chan, Pierce Brosnan film, The Foreigner, dropped. Now, The Foreigner was one of those films where, a couple of press releases went out about, hey, Jackie Chan and Pierce Brosnan are making this movie together and, it's going to be called The Foreigner. And I think a lot of people just expected it to be like, okay, it's probably going to be sounds like a straight to VOD. Sounds like a straight to home video kind of movie. Probably not going to make many waves. And we just ignored it and put it away. Well, then the trailer came out for it. And I thought the trailer, like without exaggeration or hyperbole, I thought the trailer was magnificent. I loved the first trailer. I thought it was great. I mean, Jackie Chan looking like a real rough, no humor, no giggles, no Asian clown that sometimes Jackie Chan, he likes to be the humor guy. He likes to be the clown, the funny man. And he's had a lot of success with that in his career. Ain't none of that here. Ain't none of that here. He's dead serious. He's looking to kill some fools in this. And it looks great. And I love Pierce Brosnan. And I think what little I've seen of Pierce Brosnan and Jackie Chan together, just in a couple of trailers, I think the chemistry they're going to have in this movie is going to be fire. I think it's just going to be fire. Anyway, the new trailer dropped. I think I might have liked the new trailer even more than the last trailer. Now look, it's just a trailer. We've all seen lots of movies that had great trailers that end up being stupid or awful movies. I understand that, and that's totally possible here. Maybe The Foreigner will suck. But I know this, the trailers have done their job. And the job of a trailer is to get you excited or get you more excited about a movie. And job done, because the trailers have got me hooked. If you haven't seen the newest trailer for The Foreigner yet, jump onto YouTube, just search for The Foreigner movie trailer and look for the most recent one, and that'll be the new one there. And I just got a huge kick out of it. I cannot wait to see it. I'm like salivating thinking about this movie. I cannot wait to get in this theaters and watch this. I'm going to be really disappointed if it's not awesome because so far everything about this damn film looks awesome. And I hope Pierce Brosnan has a chance to be badass in this thing too. I think that would be pretty cool. All right, guys, with all of that out of the way, I said I would save the second half of the show to take your topics and your questions that you sent into me, and we're going to do that right now, starting with the first question from one of my viewers by the name of Terrence Q. And Terrence Q writes, "You've said that you're sure that Justice League will be the #1 comic book movie at the box office this year. But don't you think that hinges on how it is received? I believe that Batman vs. Superman would have cracked well over $1 billion, no sweat, if it was well reviewed. I really, really hope it does well and ends up great. But if Justice League ends up near or just as divisive, I would think that it may have some difficulty catching Wonder Woman, Spider-Man, or Guardians of the Galaxy. Would love to know your thoughts. Thanks a lot for the question, Terrence. And yeah, look, you do raise a good point. Okay, because, I mean, look, leading up to Batman vs. Superman, everybody, me included, especially me, I mean, like a year before Justice League or Batman vs. Superman came out, like when the first trailer dropped for it at Comic-Con, I thought this very well could be the next $2 billion movie. Not billion-dollar movie, $2 billion movie. And at the time, this is before The Force Awakens, at the time, there were only $2 billion or more movies ever in the history of Hollywood. And that was Avatar, and that was Titanic. Now there are 3 with The Force Awakens. But I remember at the time, I felt pretty confident that Batman vs. Superman would no sweat be a $2 billion movie. Well, then as we started to get closer to the movie, I started to hear some doubts. I mean, we all started hearing some doubts. So I thought, okay, maybe it won't hit $2 billion, but it's going to break $1 billion in its sleep. Batman vs. Superman will crack $1 billion in its sleep. It's Batman versus Superman. It's the 2 most iconic superheroes of all time. Of course it's going to break the record. And it didn't crack $1 billion. And I think a lot of people were shocked and surprised. Now, obviously, did the critic reviews and the word of mouth have a lot to do with that? Absolutely. I think, Terrence, you're right. If the reviews had been really positive for Batman vs. Superman, if the word of mouth had been more positive, then yeah, it would have cracked $1 billion. So then how can I say with an air of certainty that I have no doubt that Justice League will break $1 billion? I have no doubt that Justice League, or at least at the very minimum, will be the #1 box office comic book film of the year. I think it'll beat Guardians of the Galaxy. I think it'll beat Spider-Man Homecoming. How can I say that with an air of certainty? Well, because Justice League has something going for it that Batman vs. Superman didn't have going for it. And that's this. Justice League is coming off a very successful, positively reviewed DCEU movie in Wonder Woman. Batman vs. Superman didn't have that. Batman vs. Superman had Man of Steel before it. And while I contend Man of Steel is the best movie that the DCEU has made so far, and I think it's a brilliant film, you know it's in my top 10 comic book movies of all time list, a lot of people didn't like it. I'm big enough, I'm secure enough in my love for the film to acknowledge a lot of people didn't like it. Fair enough. And so you had a divisive film in Man of Steel leading into Batman vs. Superman. Justice League has a totally different scenario. Justice League is coming off a very successful, very well received critically by the audience, financially successful movie in Wonder Woman. And it wasn't all that long ago. Wonder Woman was just out months ago. So it's still riding that wave of momentum, I think. So I believe, look, I'm acknowledging, I think Justice League will be very good. But I acknowledge, hey, maybe it won't be. Okay, sure, maybe it won't. But even if it's not that good, I think that momentum of Wonder Woman will be enough to push it past the $1 billion mark. Now, maybe everybody, watches it and doesn't like it all that much. And sure, so maybe it doesn't make as much money as it could. Maybe it doesn't make 1.3. Maybe it doesn't make 1.4. Maybe it doesn't make 1.5. But I think even if it's a questionable movie, and I think it's going to be a good one, but even if it's a questionable one, like Batman vs. Superman, I think that momentum, I think that Wonder Woman factor is, the X factor here that Batman vs. Superman did not have going for it. And on top of that, Wonder Woman is a prominent character in Justice League. So I think for those reasons and a few others, I still feel pretty confident. I still feel very confident saying Justice League will be the #1 comic book box office movie of the year. Even if it's poorly received, as long as the critics and the fans don't come out saying, this is the worst movie ever, that ain't going to happen. So even if that were the case, I still think it's going to be the number one box office movie of the year, and that's why. All right, but what do you think? Do you think my logic is sound, or do you have your doubts? Jump into the comments section below and let me know what you guys think. All right, we move on now to the next question. And the next question is actually from one of my Patreon supporters. Let me do my daily shameless plug for my Patreon. You know, I do this channel now full time. It takes a lot of hours to do all the videos that I do. I do between 70 and 100 videos every month. And that is due in part to the partnership of my Patreon supporters. Head on over to www.patreon.com/John Campea. See all the information about what it means to be a Patreon and to be a patron of mine, being one of the people responsible for making these shows happen. We've got audio-only versions of the podcast. So if you want to listen to the John Campea Podcast or Star Wars Talk Tuesdays, you want to listen to those on your commute to work while you're at the gym, we put up the audio-only podcast there for them. We have an exclusive Facebook group. We have exclusive live chats, all that kind of stuff. So if you're interested at all in anything like that, please go ahead and check it out. And if you don't want to become a Patreon supporter, absolutely no problem. I'm just thrilled that you're here joining us in the conversation. All right, with the shameless plug out of the way, let's move on to the next question. And the next question today comes to us from my Patreon supporter, Shervin House, who writes, "Hey, John, congrats on hitting 90,000. That's right, I hit 90,000 subscribers. Anyway, my question is, which one do you think will come first? The title for Han Solo movie, maybe even a teaser, or the first full trailer for The Last Jedi?" Well, first of all, thanks for bringing this up. And I should mention, thank you to everybody who are new subscribers here. Most of you are new subscribers. When I started my YouTube channel back up in June, I thought, 90,000? I thought it would be good. I would have been happy if I hit 80,000 by the end of the year. And here we are in September, and we've hit 90,000. So thank you to all. And now I'm starting to think maybe we'll hit 100,000 by the end of the year, which would be kind of insane. So I just want to say thank you to all of you guys who are new or recent subscribers to the channel. And hey, if you like the channel, share some of the videos in your Facebook and Twitter, and let's see if we can get to 100,000 even faster. But thank you to everybody who are new subscribers and have become subscribers since June. I'm incredibly honored that you make me one of your subscriptions. Anyway, let's get back to the question now. So, what do I think is going to come first? The announcement of the title, or maybe even a teaser of the Han Solo movie, or the next full trailer for The Last Jedi? Now, the reason I'm saying the next full trailer, whereas you, Shervin, said the first full trailer, that trailer they played in April at Star Wars Celebration, that was a full trailer. That wasn't some short tease. That was a full trailer. Was it a really long trailer? No, but I think that what they gave us there at Star Wars Celebration, I count that as a legit trailer. I think it's a legit trailer. It's not 1 minute long. It's not a little tease. To me, it was a legit trailer. So I'll say, what will we get next? The title for the Han Solo movie, or the next trailer for The Last Jedi? To me, no questions asked. It's going to be the next trailer for The Last Jedi. Why? Well, for a couple of reasons, but mostly because, the Han Solo movie is still 8 months away. It's still 8 months away. They don't need to tell us the official name of it. We already know the movie's coming, and we're all going to call it the Han Solo movie no matter what anyway. So there's no rush for them to give us the title. We're certainly not anywhere near getting a teaser. I'd say we're a good 3 or 4 months away from getting our first teaser for Han Solo. Under normal circumstances, it would have been sooner than that. But obviously with the big director change, I think we're going to have to wait a little bit longer for a teaser. But also on top of that, we're 2 months away from The Last Jedi. We are going to be getting a new trailer for The Last Jedi. I think any moment now. Seriously. I think there's a chance, I'm going to go see Kingsman this morning. I think there's a 10% chance that by the time I get home from the Kingsman screening, there's going to be a new Star Wars The Last Jedi trailer. And I think and if not today, then maybe tomorrow. If not tomorrow, maybe next week. But I think it is coming soon because we are just about 2 months away now. And I believe we've got 2 more trailers coming. So they're going to get one out to us soon. And then 4 weeks, 3 weeks before the movie comes out, they'll push out their final trailer. They'll have a bunch of TV spots as well. So, but if I'm right about that, and I might not be, but if I'm right about that we've got at least 2 new trailers coming, that means they got to get that first one out pretty quick. So I think we're going to get it here pretty fast and pretty soon. And I think it's still going to be a while before we get the Han. So I'm not even totally sure we're going to get the title for the Han Solo movie like before the end of the year. I mean, we might, but I wouldn't put money on it. I wouldn't bet money on us getting the title of the Han Solo movie before the end of December. So, but who knows? Could come in 2 weeks. We'll have to wait and see. All right. Thanks a lot for the question, man. We move on now to the next one. And the next question also comes to us from one of my Patreon supporters. It comes to us from Michael Cornish, who writes, "Hey, John, I was wondering how you feel about the business side of the whitewashing debate. You are now in charge of casting for the live action version of Disney's Frog Princess." I think you mean Princess and the Frog. But anyway, for the live version of Disney's Princess and the Frog. You get a call saying Angelina Jolie wants to be the princess, Brad Pitt wants to be the prince, and Daniel Day-Lewis wants to be the villain. Would you take them or choose Broadway level but lesser known African American actors? Thanks a lot for the question, Michael. And it should be pointed out here that Michael himself is an African American viewer. So thank you for sending in that question, Michael. And it's a relevant, poignant, kind of timely question, because with all the stuff going on with the whitewashing debate is hotter than ever right now. And it goes both ways. Like we see all this controversies going on, a lot of people complaining when a traditionally white character gets a black actor cast, or when we see a traditional Asian role go to a white dude, or a lot of it's going around. A lot of people are talking about it. And I think I've made my position on the general idea of whitewashing pretty clear. Now, from a business point of view, and this is where it always gets tricky, because I always say something, look, I just say the truth as I see it, regardless of whether I think it's popular or not. And one of the positions I've always taken, and I know it's not a popular opinion, but is that it's not the movie studio's responsibility to be the moral North Star of our culture any more than it's 7-Eleven's responsibility to be the moral North Star of our culture, or any more than it's Ford Motor Company's responsibility to be the moral North Star of our culture, or any more than the Gap, or any more than Starbucks, or any more than Apple, or any more than any company you can name. It's not their responsibility to be the moral compass of America. It's not their job. Their job and their one responsibility is to make money. They are owned by their shareholders, and they owe to their shareholders to make as much money as possible. That's what business is. And I get that, and I respect that. And I've always respected the notion that movie studios will make decisions that they think will be best for business. And I've always respected that. Now, I believe there are exceptions. I believe there's also, it's not 100% absolute. I believe there's some gray area. I do believe, all other things being equal, you should do this instead of this. I believe that entirely. But we're getting to the point now in our culture where being culturally aware is good business. It used to be pretty much black and white. If you were like a head of a studio, you had to make a choice between being culturally aware or doing what's good for business. There used to be two different options. But now we are becoming more and more a place where being culturally aware is good business. Now, it's not 100% swing that way, not at all. It's just that we're starting to see there are now areas here. There's now a percentage of wiggle room here where doing the culturally aware thing is the thing that's good for business. So, but I also don't think it's an either or, like the way you pose your question. Okay, do you get Angelina Jolie, Brad Pitt, and Daniel Day-Lewis, or do you get all unknown but talented African-American actors? Well, I say neither. What I say is do a little bit of mixing and matching. Look, for example, what Disney just did with Aladdin, right? They went out and got two lesser-known actors for Aladdin and Jasmine, right? So they went out and got lesser-known actors for that. Yes, she was in Power Rangers, but she's not a household name by any stretch of the imagination. And nobody here has heard of the dude playing Aladdin. So they got two lesser-known actors to play Aladdin and Jasmine. And then they brought in the big Hollywood superstar, internationally recognized name in Will Smith to do the genie. So they did a little bit of mixing and matching. They didn't get Tom Cruise to play, they didn't get Tom Cruise to come in and play Aladdin. They didn't bring in another completely unknown Persian actor to play the genie, which if they wanted to be completely strict to it, that's what they should have done. But instead, they mixed and matched. A couple of lesser known actors for these roles, then your one big Hollywood superstar, internationally recognizable name and face to play another role, even though his face won't be on the screen because he's doing the genie. So if I were in charge of a studio and we were doing the Princess and the Frog, I should say, I would do a mix. Out of your thing, I wouldn't take Jolie and I wouldn't take Brad Pitt. I would, if I had to, I would get a couple of maybe get a couple of cast members from Hamilton, whatever. I'm all about Hamilton right now because I just went to go see Hamilton. So I'm like, I got Hamilton on the brain. But I go get a couple of really super talented, lesser known African-American actors to play some of those roles. And then what I would do is I say, okay, now I'm going to play around with the villain role. And if Daniel Day-Lewis wants to come out of retirement and play that role, then damn right, I'm going to go get the best actor of all time. Because that's what Daniel Day-Lewis is. He is the greatest actor of all time. He's not just a big recognizable name. He is the greatest actor of all time. Put him in there, not only am I going to make business because people recognize his name, I'm going to get business around Oscar time because he's probably going to get nominated for Best Actor or Best Supporting Actor, whatever. So then I'm going to get some of that Oscar buzz money at the same time. So I believe the answer is not black or white. I don't think it's either or. I think it's somewhere in the middle. It's finding a good balance and finding a good mix, doing what's good for business, doing what is culturally aware, and finding that ground where the two meet and come together. All right. Thanks a lot for the question, man. And now I come to the last question of the day, and I got to hurry because I'm running out of time here. And the last question today comes to us from Bradley McGinnis, who writes, on one of the last podcasts I listened to, you talk about how movie ticket prices keep rising due to the rising cost of making movies. My question is, if you believe there is a future in which ticket prices vary due to the cost of money it took to make the movie, an example would be paying more for a superhero and paying less for an independent horror film. Thanks a lot for the question, Bradley. You know what? You're not the first one to bring that up. I remember when I was working at AMC Theaters, that was a topic that was discussed a lot. It never came close to being in a reality, but it was talked about, if you go to one concert, you might pay $30. But if you go see U2 in concert, you might be paying $230. You don't pay, there's not one cost of a concert ticket. Depending on the band, depending on the popularity of the band and all that kind of stuff and how big they are, you're going to pay a different price. You come see me in concert, a shiny nickel will get you in. You come to see, Tom Petty in concert, you're probably paying $80 to $100 for a ticket. You go to see like one of the hotter bands in the world, you're going to pay $300 or $400 for a ticket. You go to watch a junior varsity football game, you're paying $2 for a ticket. You go watch an NFL football game, you're paying $300 for a ticket. So there's been some discussion for a while now about should that same kind of tiered price planning be brought into the movies as well? Because, hey, maybe some of these smaller independent films might do better if instead of a movie theater charging them $15, the same price that they're charging me to go watch Justice League, which as Justice League is a $200 million film and this independent film was a $7 million film, but I have to pay $15 either way. Maybe I'm not so keen on spending $15 on that smaller film and I'd rather spend it on the bigger projects. Maybe that would help smaller films. However, I also think there's a lot of possibility that could create a lot of confusion in the marketplace. Like right now, the benefit is if I want to go to the movies, I know exactly what the cost of my ticket is. If I go to this AMC Burbank 16, it's $15 a ticket. Unless I'm going into the AMC Prime Theater, which is closer to $20 a ticket. But totally worth it. I love that theater. So I think that element is what will always keep it at one price. I think that's the thing that will always keep it at one price. Whether or not that changes in the future, we'll have to see. But I want to know, what do you guys think about that notion? What do you think about, okay, Justice League has come out. It's $22 to go see Justice League. But then a great film like, what was it? The Big Sick, right? Which is one of my top 5 best films of the year, by the way. The Big Sick, which is this little independent film made for $3 million. That only costs you $9. to go see. Is that something you would be for, or do you think that just creates a mess and just gives them an excuse to really jack up the prices? That's the other thing I'd be aware of. If you create a system like that, the studios and the theaters wouldn't use that as a way to lower the price of independent films. They would use that as an excuse to jack up the price of the bigger budget films. And in no way does that help out the consumer. And ultimately, that's not a way to help the industry. I don't think, but maybe you have a different opinion. Jump into the comments section and let me know. All right, guys, that will do it for me for this installment of the John Campea Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. Hey, listen, guys, since you're here, take a second. If you're not one of those 90,000 subscribers already, take a second, click on that subscribe button, become one of my 90,000 subscribers, driving us to 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Fingers crossed. Hey, if you like this video, share it around. And if you want to follow me on social media, it's simple. Follow me on Twitter, simply @John Campea. I do a lot of posting on my social media. All right, guys, that will do it for me for today. Thanks so much for joining me. Hopefully I'll have a Kingsman review up a little bit later today. I'll also have a Wind River trailer up later today, even though I'm late to the party, but I still think it's worth reviewing. That'll do it for me, guys. Thanks for joining me, and until next time, bye-bye.